Today, we become legends.
Hey, so I probably shouldn't be writing this video right off the back of this match. Definitely not going to influence my views towards matchmaking whatsoever, I'm sure. But SMITE's matchmaking really seems to be on live support recently, and this game is far from the only one that has been completely unplayable lately. I'll preface this by saying a couple of things. First, if you have a truly unbalanced match like this, don't blame the players. It's not their fault they got put in a game with you, it's the matchmaking system's fault. Second, I'm well aware that many people call good matches absolute trash just because the game didn't go their way. There are many factors that can influence the outcome of a match, such as god picks, any potential parties, snowball and till, or just plain someone having a bad day when they normally would play much better. I try to keep these factors in mind when I rant about matchmaking because there's only so much you can do with a single number when so many other factors influence the outcome of a match. That said, it really does feel like matchmaking has shit the bed recently. I'll take this game as an example, but believe me, there are more like it. If you're new here, I have over 4,000 hours in SMITE and hit masters almost every split I actually try and grind ranked. This guy, whose name I will be omitting just in case, is account level 26 and has 37 hours in the game. I literally have more than 100 times his playtime, and yet somehow the matchmaking system thinks putting him in a game with me is a good idea. Now, sure, playtime doesn't precisely match skill. There are plenty of people with way less than 4,000 hours in SMITE that are way better than me at it, and probably many people with more than 4,000 hours that are much worse than me. Oh, and this Thanatos wasn't the only player on my team in a similar situation. This guy was Hades support with this build, enough said. I have an intimate understanding of how all the stats and items work in this game. This guy builds percent pen first item, attack speed, crit Thanatos, and goes 3 and 15. He was literally auto-attacking the air half the time while he was trying to clear his jungle buffs. I'm sorry if this comes across too ranty, and again, I don't blame the players here, but I thought this game was a perfect encapsulation of how shit matchmaking has got recently, specifically in the last few weeks. I imagine this is mostly down to player numbers. Since SMITE is very much a seasonal game, this is literally the rock bottom time for player counts as shown on Steam charts. We haven't had any major updates in like 2 months, and everyone is basically waiting on the year 11 update to drop so we can get some fresh new stuff to explore. Plus, the recent event where you get a bunch of rewards for playing matches is probably drawing a bunch of people back in when they normally won't be playing, and they're very not fresh on the meta and stuff like that. That can influence it as well. This is quite literally the worst time in SMITE as far as player count goes though, and that's probably most of the reason matchmaking is this bad right now. This match was played at around 7 PM UK time on EU servers, so basically 7 to 9 PM throughout most of Europe, by the way. That's not quite peak time, but it's not too far off, and it's not like I'm queuing at 5 AM and then bitching that the games are bad. This was an extremely normal time to queue some games of SMITE, and I don't usually get issues like this queuing at this time. This match just straight up should never have happened. I know it's a common gamer rage tactic to say games were unwinnable from the start, but this quite literally was, given the enemy team had no such potatoes to accompany them as I had. Surtur, Sundering Axe Jotun's Rush meta build that only people who loosely follow SPL or content creators know about. Bakka's build is fine, Thanatos build is fine, Ishtar build is a little bit weird, seems like she bought the wrong glyph for some reason and is missing a Deathbringer, but nothing like what my Thanatos and Hades were doing. And finally, Eshell's build is pretty much meta outside of the last item flat pen that she probably bought just so she could one-shot my feeding squishies a bit more easily. Other than player count, I think a portion of this issue comes from the fact that SMITE's matchmaking does its thing purely based on team average MMR. It gives less of a shit than my constipated grandma about what the individual players are on a team. It just sees that both teams are pretty close on average MMR and calls it a day. Again, I'm well aware that many people just use matchmaking gave me shitters because I'm too good at the game as an excuse, but in this case there has to be a grain of truth to it. Either that or the whole MMR system is fucked if it thinks this is a valid and fair game. This way of doing things where all you care about is team MMR leads to ridiculous situations where the matchmaking algorithm has a few super insane players and a few absolute newbies like our friend Thanatos here who has less total hours in the game than I would put in for a single week sometimes. I imagine the system works this way purely for practicality so that it can make matches faster and not have people waiting in queues for 10 minutes just to find one match. But this game took under a minute to find. I'm perfectly happy to watch some brain-rotting YouTube shorts for another minute or two so I can actually get a good game that is worth playing, then get thrown into this game after 30 seconds and have to waste 30 minutes of my life on a futile attempt to actually win a game like this. Sure, I'm bitching a lot here, but I can't imagine this game was fun for the rest of my team either. It legit just decided that someone with under 40 hours in the game that can't even hit auto attacks on jungle camps and rushes percent pen first item should be in a game with a 4,000 hour veteran of the game. This isn't even to big myself up either. I'm not even that good at SMITE, but I could literally go back to season 1 me and still be 5 times better than this guy. It just shouldn't happen this way. Oh, and before you try and blame this on crossplay, which I for some reason see people do, the Thanatos was a PC player and the only one other than me doing anything on my team team here was the PS4 Changa. Crossplay has nothing to do with it, the game knows where your total skill level is at and will match you accordingly. Even if you think input method makes a massive difference, which it really doesn't, that's already baked into your MMR. I don't know, this turned very ranty very fast, but as I mentioned at the start of the video, I'm writing this fresh off the back of 2 games that were completely and literally unwinnable from the very start. Anyway though, what are your guys' experiences with matchmaking at the moment? I'm genuinely curious to see if maybe I'm just on a massive unlucky streak or if the algorithm truly is shitting itself due to lack of players at the moment. But yeah, just thought I'd put this out there and hopefully things improve when year 11 drops and the player base is refreshed with new and returning players. Catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.